A few weeks before my 16th birthday, I started my first job working at a movie theater. I don't want to sound like I'm endorsing it, so we're just going to call it Hibble Dibble Theaters. At Hibble Dibble, I worked every job one would associate with being in a movie theater. I sold tickets, worked concessions, and cleaned theaters after showings. But the most important thing that I was doing at Hibble Dibble was developing my love for movies. And from that precious little nugget of love, you can draw a straight line to the very show you're watching now. So why do I tell you this story? Well, it's because that summer was the very same summer that a little movie came out called Iron Man. I mean, WALL-E. Can't keep doing episodes about Marvel. Greetings, fellow Voyagers. I am Captain King of the SS Artifice, and welcome to the Voyages, where we take a deep dive into sci-fi. So before I really get rolling, I just wanted to let you know this is actually part of a series called Lessons Animation Taught Us, started by Mikey Neumann over at his channel, FilmJoy. It was just an open invitation to film tubers to talk about how animated films impacted us. I will include a link to that playlist down in the description if you would like to check that out. Okay, here we go. WALL-E is a 2008 film directed by the voice of Emperor Zurg, Andrew Stanton. It is the story of an ugly box who meets a hot circle, they go to space, cause some shenanigans, fall in love, and save the Earth. But you don't need me to tell you that. You've definitely already seen this because Disney already bought the rights to your Essence and printed it onto celluloid. Congrats, your Essence just made $1 billion. However, the real reason I skim over the story like that is because the plot is not what makes WALL-E special, but all of the gears that turn to make that plot go. Andrew Stanton's original vision was to have the opening sequence of outer space played over 30s French swing music. But when the Triplets of Belleville came out, he was worried he would look like he was stealing their ideas. When he went back to the drawing board, he found the soundtrack to Hello, Dolly, a musical he did in high school. There's something special to me about going back to high school for your kid's movie, almost like spiritually handing a piece of your childhood to every kid who watches your art. However, it obviously didn't stop there, as Hello Dolly then became both a narrative and creative device, where WALL-E's humanity seems to have cultivated, and it prompted the need for other live-action performers to allow the movie within a movie to exist in a way that felt natural. In a lot of ways, it's the most brilliant decision in WALL-E because you're bonding with WALL-E's love for a movie while yourself falling in love with a movie. That's the kind of brain invading you'd expect from Leonardo DiCaprio. And I love it. And that's what it's all about, right? At its core, WALL-E is a story about love, with a capital L. But I'm pretty sure I already know what most of you are thinking when it comes to this relationship. So for the first chunk of the movie, WALL-E's... He's a bit, I'll just let co-producer Lindsay Collins say it.
WALL-E has no sense of boundaries. That's what makes him charming.
Well...
And a stalker.
Yeah, that's a thing that's a little hard to just sort of look beyond, but because I think the creators of the movie knew about it going in, they intentionally left it in and built the story around it. And it's mainly because this is, in many ways, a coming-of-age story for WALL-E. Yeah, it's probably weird to think of anything that's 700 years old needing to come of age, but WALL-E is designed to be as much like a child as one could make a tractor with eyes. His expressions are very exaggerated, some of his most treasured possessions are toys, and they even have him carry around a little backpack like he's going off to school. While none of these things are strictly for children, they are all things we as a culture associate predominantly with children. And it puts that little nugget in our brains that tells us that he's not gonna get everything exactly right, but that he's able to learn. All WALL-E knows at this point in his life is what he's discovered by exploring. He knows a spork is between a spoon and a fork, he knows the tune to put on your Sunday clothes, and he knows he wants whatever it is they have. I don't think anyone would disagree with the notion that WALL-E is, in every sense of the word except biological, a person. He clearly thinks and feels as deeply as any human would, capable of caring for his fellow robot as well as a cockroach. Hang on, did he just rip off that guy's foot? The film just skips over the question of can robots be people that many other science fiction narratives ask, and instead chooses to focus on WALL-E learning to grow social skills and self-respect. He starts the film willing to get electrocuted for a girl he met yesterday, and by the low point of the movie has been nearly crushed to death and asks to go home to practice some really intensive self-care. He starts the movie fearful of Eve flying too close, and by the end goes to put himself in harm's way without even blinking. Andrew Stanton likes to say that the humans early in the movie have regressed to babies, which is why they don't even walk anymore, but by the end of the movie, Wally and Eve have taken them a step further into infancy. Wally starts the film as a child going to school, and ends up as a parent of the human race. He doesn't just grow as a character, he grows up. Boom! Did it! Coming of age story. Nailed it! Slapped my Robo Boy in the Breakfast Club. he could be the wastebasket case.
Boo! Get a better joke.
Oh, shut up! Dang it, now I lost my train of thought, too.
I believe you're supposed to be talking about some lesson this movie taught you.
Oh, right! So, do you remember the thing that inspired Wally in the first place?
Out there's a world outside of Yonkers.
So, Hello Dolly as a movie was not well received. In fact, it's often considered to be the film that ended the big movie musical for, decades. But Wally doesn't care. It doesn't matter to him who likes the movie and who doesn't, because it speaks to him. It makes him feel connected to a humanity he's never known. It makes him aspire to something. Film is a way to connect to people in a way that taps into something primal. It sparks our empathy and connects us to each other, whether you're in the same room or across the universe. But that's not the lesson I learned. Believe me, if I wanted to watch a movie about how great movies are, there are several dozen others that do that way more overtly. But what makes Wall-E special is that it shows you that the media that shapes you can't be everything. Hello Dolly gave Wall-E a desire for love, but that wasn't why Eve fell in love with him. If anything, it made everything harder for him, since his ways of approaching Eve were performative and false.
Excuse me, can I touch you for a minute? Excuse me, can I touch you for a minute?
He tried to rush things to get to where he wanted rather than letting their relationship grow. Wally falls in love with Eve the moment he sees her because it's how he's been conditioned, but Eve needs time. She needs a conversation. In fact, the moment Eve starts to fall for Wally in return isn't because they're watching Hello Dolly together, it's because they've been sharing parts of each other. He makes her laugh, she shows off her less graceful side, and their love only grows not because of the performative acts, but because of who they are. They help each other and care for each other, even when it means nothing for them. Movies and stories in general can connect us to humanity as a whole, but the only thing that really brings us together, the things that form friendships and relationships, is who we are. It's a lesson we don't really get a lot, and I've seen countless people forget that the things you like are not the same as who you are. The things you like are not a substitute for a personality. To put it another way, the things that we like, the media we consume, the films we watch, are meant to augment and enhance our relationships, not replace or define them. And I guess that's the lesson animation taught me. A lesson it taught me at the time I was developing a deeper appreciation for film. That's not to say that they aren't important, but the things that you like are meant to inform who you are. They're meant to make you grow as a person and use that growth to make yourself and the world better. And if you use the lessons all stories teach you, you can save the world. And I think that's a pretty good lesson from an ugly little box. Be good to each other. So yeah, this took a little while longer to make than I intended. But as you could all see, I was very busy buying a new vest. Yeah, that's the excuse I'm gonna go with. But for real, thank you all for being very patient and watching the video. Or if you're new and you didn't have to wait, congratulations, you didn't have to wait. But I appreciate you watching all the same. If you liked the video, please leave a like or a comment or share it with somebody. Or if you really liked it, subscribe. If you watch the other stuff and you like what I do, consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. There will be a link in the description. And you can join the peoples who are currently scrolling by on the screen. Anyway, I am very out of practice in doing this, and I feel very awkward, so I'm just gonna let it be silent now. Yay.